She was thrown out of a Korean Mafia mansion with nothing but her dignity and a secret she didn't yet know she was carrying. 3 years later, Iyanna walked back through those same iron gates. Not alone, not broken, but with 3 reasons why hell was about to freeze over. The mansion smelled like money and disapproval. Ayanna Carter had learned that within her first week of marrying Min Ha Jung, the most feared man in Seoul's underground empire. The marble floors were cold beneath her feet every morning, and so were the stairs. She was black, American, loud when she laughed, warm when she loved. And according to Min Ha's mother, Madam Young, she was everything a young wife should never be. You dress like a festival, Madam Young told her once, eyeing Ayanna's yellow sundress like it had personally offended her ancestors. Ayanna smiled sweetly. Thank you. Yellow is my color. Madam Young did not smile back. Min Ha was different behind closed doors, tender, almost desperate in the way he held her. But the moment his mother entered a room, he became a wall. Stone-faced, obedient. A son first, a husband never. Ayanna cooked, learned Korean phrases, attended cold family dinners where nobody translated for her on purpose. She tried. God, she tried. But the whispers followed her like smoke. Childless, barren, curse. She wasn't barren, she was patient. There was a difference, one nobody in that mansion cared to understand. On the night Madam Young finally said the words out loud, "You leave this house or I disown my son." Min Ha said nothing. His silence was the loudest thing Ayanna had ever heard. She packed one bag, walked out, head high. Tears held until the iron gates closed behind her. She didn't know yet. She didn't know about the 3 heartbeats growing quietly inside her. That silence from Min Ha, could you have forgiven it? Tell me in the comments. The morning after Ayanna left, the Jung mansion ran like nothing had changed. Breakfast at 7, suits pressed, guns cleaned, business as usual. But Min Ha sat at the head of the table and couldn't eat a single bite. His mother poured tea with steady hands. She was never right for this family. You didn't give her a chance, he said quietly. I gave her 14 months. Madam Young set the teapot down with a polite clink. She gave us nothing. Min Ha's jaw tightened. He wanted to say she gave me everything. He wanted to flip the entire breakfast table. Instead, he straightened his tie and walked out. That was the Young way. Swallow it, move forward, bleed privately. Meanwhile, 3,000 miles away, Ayanna sat in an Atlanta clinic waiting room, staring at a paper cup of water like it owed her answers. The nurse called her name gently. The ultrasound was supposed to be routine, a follow-up, nothing dramatic. Then the technician got very quiet. Ms. Carter. She tilted the screen slowly. Are you here alone today? Ayanna frowned. Yes, why? The technician exhaled carefully. Because you're going to need someone to hold your hand. 3 seconds of silence. Then, 3 heartbeats on the screen. Ayanna's paper cup crumpled in her fist. I'm sorry, is that... Triplets? The technician whispered. Identical, strong, all 3. The room tilted. Ayanna gripped the bed rail and laughed. A wild, disbelieving, tearful laugh that startled the technician completely. 3. Min Ha's mother had called her barren. God had apparently found that hilarious. Ayanna drove home with the ultrasound photo tucked against her chest, like a weapon she didn't know how to use yet. Her cousin Tasha was waiting on the apartment steps. You were gone forever. What did the doctor say? Ayanna handed her the ultrasound photo without a word. Tasha stared, blinked, stared again. Girl. I know. Girl. Tasha. There are 3 of them in there? Tasha grabbed her shoulders. Ayanna, you need to call Min Ha right now. No. The word came out hard and fast like she'd rehearsed it, because somewhere deep down, she had. He deserves to know. He watched his mother throw me out and said nothing, Tasha. Ayanna's voice cracked just slightly before she steadied it. Nothing, not one word. These babies are mine. Tasha opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. That man is in the Korean Mafia, Ayana. You can't just hide triplets from a mob boss. Watch me. She walked inside and locked the door, which accomplished absolutely nothing emotionally, but felt powerful in the moment. That night, she lay in bed with her hand on her still flat stomach, having a full internal argument with herself. Tell him. He didn't fight for you. They're his children. He chose his mother's silence over your dignity. Round and round it went until exhaustion won. She would figure this out. Alone. On her own terms. She had survived 14 months in a mansion full of people who pretended she was invisible. She could survive anything. 16 months later, Minha's business brought him to Atlanta. A territory dispute, a meeting with American associates. He didn't plan it. He didn't look for her. But Seoul's underground world has a crooked sense of humor. The meeting was at a restaurant on Peachtree Street. Minha arrived early, sat in a corner booth, ordered water, and looked up. Directly at Ayana, she was enormous, radiant, moving through the restaurant in a yellow dress like the sun had personally assigned her as its representative on Earth. A baby bag on one shoulder, a stroller that looked like it required a pilot's license to operate. Minha stood up so fast he knocked over his water. Ayana froze. They stared at each other across 12 feet of restaurant floor like the universe had just slammed two freight trains together and stepped back to watch. Ayana. Don't! Her voice was ice. His eyes dropped to the triple stroller, 3 car seats, 3 identical tiny faces, 3 pairs of eyes that looked unmistakably up like his. Minha's knees actually weakened. A man who had stared down armed rivals without blinking grabbed the back of his chair like a life raft. Are those my children? Ayana said firmly. Mine. Ayana. I have a reservation, Minha. Please move. He didn't move. She didn't either. The hostess appeared nervously between them. Table for one? Both of them, simultaneously. 2. They sat across from each other in a booth that suddenly felt the size of a shoebox. The babies, 2 girls and a boy, slept in the stroller with the audacity of angels, completely unbothered by the catastrophic tension surrounding them. Their names, Minha said quietly. Ayana considered not answering, then Seo Yeon, Seo Jin, and Kai. He closed his eyes briefly when she'd given them Korean names, even after everything. You didn't tell me, he said. You didn't fight for me. Silence landed between them like a third person at the table. My mother. Don't. Ayana leaned forward. Do not make this about your mother, Minha. I was your wife. I learned your language. I ate food I couldn't pronounce. I sat in rooms where people talked around me like I was furniture. And when it mattered most, when she looked at me and said, leave, you sat there. His jaw worked. I was trying to protect you. If I had fought her directly, I didn't need protection. I needed my husband. Minha reached into his jacket. Ayana tensed instinctively. Old habit from living with a mob boss, but he pulled out a photograph. It was her, taken outside the mansion gate the night she left. Him standing just inside the iron bars, watching her walk away. I have carried this every day, he said. I almost came after you 100 times. Almost, Ayana repeated softly, is a very lonely word. He had no answer for that. Kai stirred in the stroller and made a small, disgruntled noise. The universal sound of a baby who sensed drama and disapproved. Despite everything, Ayana almost smiled. They didn't plan to spend the afternoon together. It simply happened. The way disasters and beautiful things both tend to. Kai woke up first, saw Minha, and grabbed his finger with the full, confident grip of someone who'd never experienced rejection and wasn't about to start. Minha looked at his son holding his finger, and something behind his eyes quietly shattered. He's strong, he managed. They all are, Ayana said. Stubborn too. Wonder where they get that. Certainly not from you, Minha said dryly. Ayana blinked, then laughed, a real one, surprised out of her. Excuse me? You once argued with my head of security for 40 minutes about the thermostat. It was 68 degrees, Minha. In July. People were suffering. 4 armed men were suffering, yes. They were both almost smiling now, which felt dangerous and necessary all at once. He held all 3 babies in the park outside while Ayana sat on a bench watching him. This terrifying, powerful, deeply foolish man, completely undone by 3 7-month-olds who kept grabbing his nose. Seo Yan keeps looking at me like she's deciding something, he said, slightly alarmed. She is, Ayana confirmed. She's the serious one. You have to earn Seo Yan. And Seo Jin? She'll love anyone who feeds her. She's easy. And Kai? Ayana looked at her son, bold, bright-eyed, already trying to eat Minha's collar. Kai is exactly like his father, infuriating and impossible to ignore. Minha met her eyes over their son's head. For one quiet moment, the world felt like it used to. Before the mansion, before the silence, before the iron gates. If you were Ayana, could you let your guard down here? Comment below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. It ended with a phone call. Minha stepped away to take it. 30 seconds, maybe less. When he returned, his face had shifted back into stone. My mother is in Atlanta, he said. Ayana stood up slowly. What? She followed me. She does this when she thinks I'm making emotional decisions. He said it like it was normal, like it was acceptable. And are you? Ayana asked carefully. Making an emotional decision? Before he could answer, Madame Young appeared at the park entrance. Elegant, composed, wearing all black like she'd already attended the funeral of this reunion. She saw Ayana, she saw the stroller. Something moved across her face. Surprise, calculation, then a quick reset into marble. Daughter-in-law, she said coolly. I'm not your daughter-in-law anymore, Ayana replied. No. Madame Young's eyes swept the 3 babies. But those are Young blood. That changes things. Those are my children. Minha. His mother turned to him with the precision of a general. The attorneys can have papers drawn by morning. Shared custody, the children raised between both households. It's the reasonable solution. The word attorneys hit Ayana like cold water. She turned to Minha, waiting, throat tight. He was quiet for 3 full seconds, and then, Mother, enough. Madame Young blinked. I said enough. His voice was low and terrifyingly calm. You will not negotiate my children like a business arrangement. And you will not speak to Ayana that way. Not today, not ever again. Madame Chung stiffened. Minha. We're leaving. He turned to Ayana, but she was already packing the stroller, hands shaking, eyes burning. Ayana, you stood up for me, she said quietly. A year too late, but you did. She clicked the stroller buckle. I need to think. She walked away. He let her, this time with intention, not cowardice. 3 days. Ayana didn't answer his calls for 3 days. She sat with her babies, her Tasha, and approximately 17 conflicting emotions, all having conversations with herself that went absolutely nowhere productive. You're still in love with him, Tasha said on day 2, eating cereal on the couch with 0 sympathy. I am not discussing this. Ayana, baby. The man flew to Atlanta, melted when he saw his kids, checked out Seo Yan's approval rating, and then told his terrifying mob mother to back all the way up, in public. Tasha pointed her spoon. What more do you want? I want to not be hurt again. Tasha put the cereal down. Her voice softened. Baby, that's not a reason to say no. That's just fear wearing a reasonable coat. On day 3, a package arrived. No note. Just a small jewelry box. Inside, a bracelet. Traditional Korean gold. Engraved on the inside in both English and Hangul. She stayed when it was hard. I should have too. Ayana sat on the kitchen floor and cried for a long time. Then she called him. He picked up on the first ring like he'd been holding the phone, waiting, afraid. Minha? Ayanna. Silence. Comfortable now. Real. The babies need their father, she said finally. And their mother? He asked quietly. What does she need? Ayanna wiped her face. She needs you to never go quiet on her again, no matter what, no matter who's in the room. Never, he said. And it wasn't a promise from a mob boss. It was a promise from a husband. Then come meet your children properly, she said, and bring food. Tasha ate everything. 6 weeks later, Ayanna stood inside the young mansion again. Same marble floors, same iron gates. Different energy entirely. Minha had made that clear before her foot crossed the threshold. New rules, non-negotiable, delivered to his mother in writing like a legal decree. Ayanna was to be respected, addressed directly, translated for, welcomed. Madame Young met them in the foyer. She looked at Ayanna for a long moment. Then she looked at Seo Yan, who stared back at her grandmother with those serious, evaluating eyes, weighing her, measuring her, deciding. Madame Young crouched slowly to the stroller level. Seo Yan studied her grandmother for 5 full seconds. Then she reached out and grabbed Madame Young's perfectly manicured finger. Something cracked open in the older woman's face. Not defeat, not weakness. Something older and realer. Something that looked quietly like regret. She has the young eyes, Madame Young said softly. She has her mother's stubbornness, Minha replied. Ayanna said nothing. She didn't need to. That evening, Minha found her standing at the window where she used to stand during those cold 14 months, looking out at the garden she'd once tended alone. Do you regret coming back? He asked. She considered it honestly, the way she did everything. Ask me in a year. He laughed, real, warm, the laugh he only had behind closed doors. He stood beside her and she leaned into him just slightly, and he put his arm around her like she was something to be protected, not managed. Below, Tasha, who had absolutely invited herself along, was in the garden teaching the young security team an Atlanta card game and winning aggressively. Your cousin is hustling my men, Minha observed. She really is, Ayanna agreed proudly. He pressed his lips to her temple. She closed her eyes. The iron gates that had once closed behind her in silence now stood open, not just physically, but in every way that mattered. She had walked out with nothing and returned with 3 miracles, a reclaimed voice, and a love that had finally decided to be brave. Some love stories don't start beautifully. Some start at iron gates with a single suitcase and a secret not yet known. But the ones that fight their way back, those are the ones worth telling. Did Ayanna make the right choice going back? And do you think Madame Young truly changed? Or is she just getting started? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story moved you, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a story like this again. We're just getting warmed up. Just kidding.